Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to do another flight featuring the Turbine Duke and BeyondATC. Now, we've already done one flight with BeyondATC on the 737, and today we are going to see how it is going to perform with general aviation, in that we are going to fly the Black Square Turbine Duke. So this is kind of a double preview review as you want to see it. In any case, we are standing right here in Paderborn Lippstadt from Aerosoft, and we're going to fly it right over to Düsseldorf by Just Zim, which is a quick 90 nautical mile flight. So, we do expect some pretty high performance of our aircraft today. We can go all the way up to flight level 180 on this flight. Probably going to fly a little bit lower, but we will in any case play around with BeyondATC a little bit to see what kind of options we do have available. The flight is initially filed in flight level 140, and then we will see later on if we are able to get higher flight levels. Okay, so follow me inside as we are going to start preparing our aircraft for our flight. And the first things first, we are going to close that cabin door right up here. Closed and locked. And then getting up to the front, we might as well just remove our keys to get the forward door locked. And then let's go ahead and start our airplane up. I'm going to start with the pre-flight checklist here. So, pre-flight inspection complete, control locks removed, seats and seatbelts secured, cabin door latched, nose baggage door latched, park and brake set. Okay, landing gear down, electrical switches off, engine and avionics switches off. Oxygen pressure between 1550 and 1850. Circuit breakers are all in. Okay, supplemental bleed air is off. And cabin pressure shut off open. Alternate static and normal. CO2 detector. Tested. Environmental mode off. Flaps up. Power levers. Flight idle. Which way are they? Here they are. So power levers flight idle, prop levers high RPM, condition levers cut off, trims centered, and fuel selectors. Let's see. They are on. Pre-flight checklist complete. And then we can go ahead with the before starting engine checklist, please. So beacon light on, battery master on. Okay, fuel quantities. Got 90 gallons each side, checked. Annunciators, tested, and let's see, this is all associated with our current state of the aircraft. So testing consider. Okay, battery selector, number 1, voltage 24.9 looking good, 23 is minimum, then battery selector number 2, again 23 minimum, and battery selector both. Okay, looking good. So, we're gonna check the right ignition. Auto, we can see the ignition warning comes on, and the left ignition, auto, then on. Okay, so left wing fuel pump on, fuel flow observed, off, and left aux pumps on, fuel flow observed, off, and we do the same on the right hand side, which is looking good as well. Before starting engine checklist complete. Okay, then let's flick on our avionic master so that we can get our startup clearance. This can be a little bit annoying in some airports in Germany because it means we have to run the avionics based on just the battery, and especially when it's cold, you really don't want to do that for too long. But I'm afraid there is no way around this. We have to prepare, or we have to get our startup clearance before we can start the engines in Europe on an IFR flight, and indeed on many VFR flights as well. At the same time, let's go ahead and initialize BeyondATC.
BeyondATC connected.
Okay, perfect. BeyondATC is connected. It's just loading up, and now it's showing completed. Very good. Okay, so we're flying the Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Yes, it would also be a correct German call sign if you had a different letter at the end, but we are taking it the way it is, like this. Okay, so from our arrival, we still got all the frequencies in there. So we are monitoring COM2, Let's put the ADAS frequency active and see what we're going to get. As always, it does take BeyondATC.
Transition level 050, 5G notice in effect. Advise on initial contact you have information, Sierra. Paderborn Lippstadt Airport information, Sierra. 1350 Zulu, wind 310 at 7, temperature 17, dew point 08, QNH 1025, landing and departing runway 24. Transition level 050, 5G notice in effect. Advise on initial contact you have information, Sierra.
Okay, information Sierra, QNH 1025, the rest
information,
is
Sierra.
copied.
1350
Very good, then let's
Zulu,
get rid of
wind
that,
31.
and we'll call our ground controller 121.93. Paderborn ground, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, request IFR clearance, information Sierra.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, Paderborn ground, information Sierra correct, expect runway 24, Tins 1 Whiskey departure, squawk 1000.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, expect runway 24, Tinsa 1 Whiskey departure, squawk 1000.
Negative, squawk 1000.
That is literally what I said. Squawk 1000, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, read back correct. Call me back when ready for start or taxi.
Wilco, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, request startup.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha did not copy.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, request startup.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, startup approved. Call when ready for taxi.
Startup approved, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Okay, so startup is approved. Then let's go ahead and shut those avionics down again. And then let's continue with our engine start checklist. Or actually with the before. Well, we've completed the before start checklist, so let's do the engine start checklist. Okay, the right side is all clear. Then let's go. Okay, right starter. On. Okay, bus voltage is 15 minimum. Gas generator going up to 15%. Here we go, that is 15. Okay, condition lever on. Check the temperatures. So ITT less than 1090. Right starter off at 52%. So now, okay. Then right ignition off, right generator on, engine instruments. Okay. Good. Okay, perfect. Right generator is on. Right generator load is below 60 in 2 minutes. We have that. Bus voltage 28 volt. Battery temperature below 120 Fahrenheit. Then we can start our left engine. So left starter on. Bus voltage again 15 minimum. Gas generator running up to 15%. That's 15. Condition lever on. Temperature below 1090. Looking good. So left starter off at 52%. NG. So now left starter off. Left ignition off. Engine instruments are checked and stable. So left generator on. Left generator load. Below 60 in 2 minutes. Bus voltage 28 volt. Battery temperature below 180 Fahrenheit. Looking good. After start checklist. So lights as required. Weather radar is off. Avionics on, inverter fail annunciator extinguished. Cabin temperature and mode as desired. We'll take it on auto heat. Park and brake, and brake check to go after start checklist complete. Okay, so as per the SID chart, our initial climb is going to be to an altitude of 5,000 feet. Weather radar can go on standby. Transponder can come on, and they want us on a squawk of 1,000, which is a little bit of a VATSIM left over. I guess they had some beta testers who are VATSIM controllers and who simply go for squawk 1,000 everywhere, which is not how it works in the real world, but well. Okay, so that stuff is looking good. Then let's see, departure, Echo, Delta, Lima, Papa, here we go, Paderborn, Lippstadt, procedure. Okay, we'll do that again, procedure, departure. And we do have the Tinsa 1 Whiskey, runway 24. We're going to load that up, and it matches our earlier IFR clearance. Squawk 1000 is in, and that stuff is in. Okay then. So we can remove the Paderborn at the end over here. Instead we are going to Echo Delta, Delta Lima. Here we go, Düsseldorf, enter that, procedure, arrival. Not at Paderborn, what are you doing? Echo Delta, Delta Lima, here we go. So, Domox 2 X-ray arrival is planned, runway 05 right, most likely. Load that in. And Tinsa to Domox is fine. There are 2 waypoints in between there, but if ATC really wants us to fly to them, it's one straight line, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, flight plan here, map here, and that is looking good. Okay, excellent. So with that, we are pretty much done. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, request taxi.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, runway 24, taxi via Delta Alpha.
Runway 24, taxi via Delta Alpha, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Okay, so we're going to leave the apron over the front over here and then off to the right hand side to runway 24. We just quickly do one more piece of setup here. Like that. Okay, perfect. So, then taxi light coming on and brake going off. Okay, brake check. Works fine. So, a little bit of beta range on the props over here. So that's Delta over here, and then it's gonna be Alpha to the right. Okay, that's looking good. So a little bit of crosswind here. I need quite a bit of rudder pedal to get the airplane to move straight, which can be a little bit of a challenge at times using just the Thrustmaster stick for that. And then of course making sure we don't get too quick, but the beta range is actually quite good at that. You can very easily see when I'm actually braking my airplane here, as I'm currently still recording this one on a layover, so I am just using my Thrustmaster Airbus stick here, but no rudder pedals, so I don't have a proper brake axis, and you can easily see whenever I'm braking over here. Okay, so we're in Alpha right now. Alpha is a little bit of a downhill taxiway there. You can see how I'm using a little bit more data range on my propellers over here. Increase the drag a little bit, so that we don't get too quick, so that I can minimize the use of the brakes. Okay, a little bit less even. Okay, this is now the props all the way into beta.
Delta India Lima, Delta Alpha, contact Paderborn Tower 133.38.
133.38, Delta India Lima, Delta Alpha. Okay, we will do that, but only after...
Negative tower on 133.38.
133.38, Delta India Lima, Delta Alpha. It's funny how it's really pronouncing.
Negative tower on 133.38.
Yeah, whatever you say, my friend. Okay, brake set. I'm just going to use the auto replay function now.
Contact Tower 133.38 Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Thank you, First Officer. Okay, so 33.38. Going to pre-select that already. And then our departure frequency can be pre-selected as well, and that is going to be 125.225 according to the chart. Okay, like so, looking good. Great, then let's go ahead and continue with our run-up checklist, please. So, park and brake is set, annunciators, tested, and considered. This is all associated. So remote compass, we're showing 015 down there, 015 up here, slaved and aligned fuel selectors, and transfeed, fuel pumps. On, so power levers 2050. Making sure the airplane holds. And the oil temperature is getting rather high, so let's open the oil doors already. Looking good. Okay, so that's roughly 2050 RPMs. Then we can do the governor test. On the left side, RPMs go down towards 2000. And a little bit hard to reach the button over here. That's on the right side. RPMs going down to 2000. Then power levers 2190. Here we go. Roughly. Okay, exercise left propeller down to 1500. And the right propeller also down to 1500. Looking good. Okay, fire detector test. We've got both fire warnings and we have the lights illuminate down here. Looking good. Okay then. So, left generator, hold the reset, and the right one takes it all. And we do the same on the right generator, hold the reset, and the left generator takes all the load. Okay then, power levers idle. Okay, so oil doors are open, ice deflectors. Gotta verify the operation, but they do take a little while to actually come on, so don't worry if that takes a little. And then instrument air is in the green, and we have no lights. Okay, pressurization test, cockpit window closed, cabin altitude is set to, well, cabin altitude is roughly field elevation here. That's 700 feet, good enough. Okay, cabin climb rate at the 10 o'clock position, then we can select -700 on the elevation, looking good, and cabin pressure test, descending, looks good. Okay, and then back onto the normal position. Next up we do the ice detector tests. So we start with the propeller heat coming on, and propeller heat ground test working fine, and propeller heat going back off. Now windshield heat coming on, volts observed, and you can see how the ampere load has risen quite a bit, so that's looking good. And finally back off again, no 29 and 30, so now let's turn on the anti-ice devices one by one, and we can see how the load on the generators is rising with every single one of them. Okay, next up we test the de-icing boots, and that pressure is working over there, and now we do the one cycle, and it goes up to between 15 and 20 psi, like that, looking good. Okay, so fuel selectors back into the on position. With this, the crossfeed is observed to have worked. Okay, electrical pitch trim on. Let's test that the pitch trim actually works. Goes forward, goes aft, is in the green, perfect. Okay, heading back 30 degrees left of our current track. Like that, autopilot on in heading mode, yoke goes left. Then 30 degrees right off track. Autopilot follows, and flight director on. Press the button once, press the button twice, flight director disappears, perfect. Okay, so next up we're going to check the flap operation, and put the flaps all the way down, and we can actually observe them driving on the outside over here. So that's looking good, flaps are full down, and flaps back into the approach setting. So, window is closed, we don't have any cabin door annunciations, we now have the ice door open, showing as well. So next up we do the flight control check, and here we go. Sorry, that just hit my microphone, but we can see the flight controls are working. Okay, so, altimeter's looking correct, departure altitude is checked, initial climb to 5,000, heading buck, we can just quickly set that one up to our runway heading as well. Here we go. Okay, takeoff heading set, panel lights set, and park and brake comes next, and with that the before takeoff checklist is basically completed already. Paderborn Tower, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, ready for departure.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, Paderborn Tower, wind 310 at 7, runway 24, line up and cleared for takeoff.
Runway 24, cleared for takeoff, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Okay, lights off. Beacon and strobes on, landing lights on. And the air conditioning goes off. Okay, so transponder alt, weather radar on, we'll set it somewhere up. Like this. Okay, looking good. Dude, this is a little bit fast right now. Okay, ready? Takeoff. Set thrust. Thrust set. 100 knots. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. So, flight director on, nav, pilot on, and this is looking superb.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, contact Langen radar departure 125.22.
125.22, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Langen radar hello, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, 2900, climbing 5000.
India Lima Delta Alpha. Langen radar departure identified. Climb to flight level 100.
Climb to flight level 100, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Set. 100 checked. Okay then. So, en route climb checklists, propellers, 2190, power levers, 1200, ignition, auto, oil doors closed, and ice deflector doors going closed as well. Cabin pressure, not climbing yet. Oh, yeah, I forgot to set my altitude. That is definitely going to be a bit of a topic here. Okay, that's set. Cabin temperature mode is set, and engine performance monitor en route climb check is complete. Okay, set standard. Standard cross-check passing flight level 63. Now, checked. Okay, nicely above the clouds. Pitot heat can come on though. Interesting that that was not part of the checklist earlier. Would certainly have expected so. Okay, differential pressure is looking okay, but we can certainly go flaps up.
Delta India Lima. Delta Alpha. Contact Langen radar 118.75.
118.75, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Negative. Langen radar on 118.75.
118.75, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Okay, so track 262. Langen radar, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, flight level 88, climbing flight level 100. $1,000 to go, it's checked.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, Langen radar, climb to flight level 140.
Climb to flight level 140, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Set, 140 checked. Cabin pressurization is looking okay, even though I will pitch it down a little bit. Okay, so this is looking quite good. So let's just request a slightly higher flight level. I want flight level 180, and for that I am
Delta
going to
India
use
Lima Delta Alpha.
the
Request
menu.
new cruise altitude.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, roger, say new altitude.
Request flight level 160, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, roger, new cruise altitude, flight level 160. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, climb to flight level 160.
Climb to flight level 160, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
So set, 160 checked, and since that seems to be final, let's go ahead and select that on cabin pressure down here. Okay, and this is pretty much everything there is to it. Now let's make sure that we don't over pressure our cabin. Gonna pitch down and reduce my vertical speed a bit. Say something here, 1,000 feet a minute or so. That should be good. Okay, that's looking good. Quick look at the engine oil temperature. Looking fine. Okay. Since we're above 100, lights coming off and the recognition lights can come off as well. Perfect. Approaching VNAV profile. Yeah, sure, we'll deal with you later, my friend. Okay, awesome. So with that, we're in the air. Just gotta keep an eye on the speed, that we don't overspeed the airplane. The Turbine Duke just got such an incredible amount of power here. Differential pressure is okay, approaching the maximum, but the cabin is climbing at 1,000, we are climbing at, well, now we should be climbing at 1,000 as well, so it shouldn't be much of a problem. Here we go. Okay, speed is reaching maximum, so we actually got to reduce our power a little bit to keep that under control, making sure that we don't overspeed the aircraft. Okay, reaching Tinsar. From here we are proceeding towards Domux. There's 2 more waypoints on that route, just to be aware of it, but as an avid user of the GNS 530 and 430, I am certainly too lazy to program that stuff in. What we can program though is Düsseldorf VOR, just to get an idea of the rough distance to the airfield. Like so. Okay, left turn track 251. Here we go. Looking good. Okay, differential pressure is still under control. Awesome. Cabin temperatures are looking okay as well. So that is looking quite good. 1,000 to go, vertical speed is under control, at 1,000 feet a minute, speed is stable, very nice. So just 18 miles to run until we reach Domux, and over there we already have to enter the star, so let's go ahead and see if we can get an ATIS. That should be 123.78. But once again, nothing it seems. So just like on our first flight using BeyondATC, the arrival ATIS is not working. That's probably going to be a bug then. Okay, altitude is capturing. Master warning, cabin differential. Oh, come on, you're just about at the limit. You will be there in a moment. Let's just add a couple feet to our target altitude here, then that thing should go out. Yeah, it's out already. Okay, so keeping the speed within the maximum, of course. Then we can reduce our RPMs a little bit. Or we just actually go straight into the cruise checklist. Ignition, auto or off? It's an auto. Oil doors closed, ice deflectors off, pitot heat on, windshield heat off, propeller heat off, surface de-ice as required. Fuel imbalance 25 maximum, we're looking pretty good here, at 0 imbalance. So propellers down towards 2000 RPM. Just doing the fine-tuning over here right now. And, well, 2000 RPMs, here we go. Maybe a bit less on the left side. Here we go, that's 2000 RPMs. And the power levers as needed. We'll just maintain maximum forward speed over here. We can go all the way up to 1150 foot-pounds as needed. Okay, cabin temperature mode, it's 19 degrees, that's okay for me. And we'll just keep it at that. Cabin pressure is checked, engine performance monitor, cruise checklist complete. So the most important thing for us to check over here now is...
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, Langen radar, expect Domu 2 X-ray, runway 05 right.
Domu 2 X-ray, runway 05 right. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Okay, that's pretty much what we planned already, if I'm not mistaken. Domux 2 X-ray. And, well, let's go ahead and add the approach as well. Let's approach 05 right. I'm pretty sure we're going to get the transition out of Lepti. Yep, that is looking good. Okay, excellent. Let's tilt that weather radar down a bit, see if we get anything there, but I don't really think so. Okay, so a feature that I really like about BeyondATC is that you can simply transition the radios to your co-pilot, and you can see that that is what I've done. Our lady is doing the radios right now, while we are just doing the flying part of things, and that is pretty cool. You just gotta make sure that you actually hear all the instructions then when they are issued, so that you don't miss anything. But in case you do miss anything, you can always read it up in the BeyondATC window, where you've got a complete message log of your past messages.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha Domu 2 X-ray runway 05 right, report ready for descent.
Okay, milady, are you going to answer to that?
Domu 2 X-ray, runway 05 right, call when ready. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
So 269 track. Looking good. Not looking good. Okay, let's just do a little bit of vertical planning over here. So we're going to target 3,000 feet. What's this doing now? Okay, here we go. 3,000 feet, 4 miles, B for Natos. That should be more than good to go. I don't believe you, my friend. Vertical speed required 7,000. Oh, 93,000 feet. Okay, yeah, that is fine. I would love to do that, but I have a feeling that ain't gonna work, so...
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, descend to 3,000 feet, QNH 1027.
Here we go.
Descend to 3,000 feet, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, contact Düsseldorf approach 128.65.
Contact Düsseldorf approach 128.65, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Okay, vertical speed required is 1200. Let's just about do that first. Be sure to get the airplane flying, and then we can still do the rest. So that's looking good. Speed is under control. So 128.65. You can program BATC to be able to handle the radios for you as well, but I kind of prefer to still do that manually. So you can, however, have them do it automatically for you. Long radar, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, 15,600, descending 3,000, information Alpha.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, verify information Foxtrot.
Yeah, the ATIS is not working, my friend. Where is it now? Let's try.
Düsseldorf airport information.
Oh, now it is. Okay. Well, tell you what.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, verify information Foxtrot.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, information Foxtrot.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha Düsseldorf approach QNH 1027. Expect the ILS runway 05 right with the left-T transition.
QNH 1027, expect the ILS runway 05 right with the left-eye transition. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Okay, so now that we talked about all this, let's go for the descent checklist. I did delay turning the cabin altitude down a little bit here, gives us a little bit more margin. Okay, so descent checklist. Cabin altitude goal set to field elevation. Here we go. Field elevation set. Ignition. Auto. Oil doors. Closed. Ice deflectors not needed off. Power levers reduced. Engine performance monitor. Ice protection as needed. Descent checklist complete.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, cleared direct left-T. Cross left-T at or above 3,000 feet. Cleared ILS runway 05 right.
Cleared direct left-T. Cross left-T at or above 3,000 feet. Cleared ILS runway 05 right, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Okay, now that we talked about it, we are just about flying to left-T anyway, and cleared for the ILS approach. Awesome, we're clear to 3,000 already, So literally all we got to do is to fly down our VNAV profile. 1200 feet a minute we should have. 1200 feet a minute we do have. Perfect. What else can you possibly ask for? So that's quite easy going, isn't it? The lack of our computer here, but here we go. That's looking better. Okay then, so looking pretty good. Now for the approach itself, to conduct a little briefing, the ILS approach runway 05 right has an ILS frequency of 110.15, that's already active in number 1, and we will also pre-select it in number 2. So 110.15 pre-selected. Then final approach course 052, we can already tune that down here on the second radio. And here we go. Minimum is going to be 326 in case of go-around straight at 60 outbound Düsseldorf VOR, and that's 1515. Here we go, then a left-hand turn, inbound Lima NDB, frequency 311, and we can already include that as well. So 311, put that active, here we go. Okay, climb to 4000. Now, in case of a successful landing, it's going to be right-hand turn off the runway, we'll see where exactly, and then we taxi to the general aviation parking. And that's about it. Okay. About as easy as it gets, isn't it? So, let's see if we can actually get an ATIS now. 12378.
Airport information Foxtrot. 1350 Zulu. Wind at tree. 0 at 8 few clouds at 2000. Temperature 17. Dew point 11. QNH 1027. Landing and departing runways 05 left, 05 right. Transition level 050. Read back all hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information Foxtrot.
Okay, so information Foxtrot is on board. Thank you. Alright. So, cabin is coming down nicely. And everything's pretty much looking good. I just reduced power a little bit to keep a bit of a distance with the speed from the overspeed. But in general, looking good. Okay, passing 10,000. Recognition light coming on, landing light and taxi light coming on. Might get a little bit of icing in here. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. So we should be more or less being the field right now. Oh yes, if you know the area, if you know the Rhine down here, then you know exactly where the field is. So far, so good. And clear the icing again. Nothing in the clouds. I deliberately kept the windshield heat off so that in case the airplane does start to collect some ice, we would see it on the windshields first. But looks like there was nothing in here. And what's the outside temperature now? Just about 0. Okay, so pretty much perfect icing conditions right now. In that cloud, of course, not outside the cloud. Okay, so if we have a look at our approach transition over here, we leave lefty outbound, then right and turn back inbound, and that's pretty much it already. So rather easy going, this procedure. Back to the elapsed timer down there. Wow, already 21 minutes in flight. I did not expect that. Now, under my previous video on BeyondATC, I got a couple of questions in regards to the transition level. As I said, the transition level was incorrect in the ATIS. Now, let me explain that in a little bit more detail. Between the transition altitude and the transition level, you have what is called the transition layer. Now the transition layer needs to be at least 1,000 feet in altitude, so that separation between the aircraft flying the highest available altitude and the lowest available flight level is assured. Now, in order to reach this, you have to have a look at the QNH and the temperature. If the QNH is above standard, so above 1013, and there is no significant negative temperature, then you will usually already achieve the 1000 feet transition layer when you select a transition level that is 1000 feet above the transition altitude. So with today's weather conditions, temperature is higher than the ISA temperature. So ISA down at sea level 15, it's 17 degrees down at the airport. The QNH is higher than 1013. That would give us a transition level of flight level 060. Now, in case the QNH was lower than 1013, then you would have to check how much lower the QNH actually is. For about 30 hectopascals, you can say, or about 33 to be more precise, you can say that you need a transition level that is 2,000 feet above the transition altitude in order to achieve the 1,000 foot thick transition layer that you require. Now, similarly, the opposite way around, if you had a QNH that is more than 33 hectopascals below standard, so below 980, then you would need a transition level that's actually more or less 3,000 feet above the transition altitude, so flight level 80, in order to achieve the 1,000 foot thick transition layer. So that's the logic behind that. Okay, let's pitch down a little bit in order to keep up our rate of descent. What's the vertical speed required now? 1600. Yeah, so we are easy going down here. Okay, so new track about here. I tell you what, we're actually going to select the runway track already, 052. Like that, easy going. Interesting, why is the heading not actually rotating as our compass is rotating? That is definitely an issue. When you push that in to set the compass card, then I could understand it, but like this, doesn't make much sense that it is actually rotating. Probably going to report that one as a bug.
Delta, India, Lima, Delta, Alpha, contact Düsseldorf Tower, 118, decimal 3. Have a good day.
Over to Tower 118.3, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Okay then, let's go on heading select. Switch it over to VOR navigation. And that is our localizer alive in a few moments. Heading 020 to intercept. Approach armed. Okay, let's turn off the automatic handovers. Instead, we are going to take the radios back manually now. Düsseldorf Tower, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, ILS 05 right.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha Düsseldorf Tower, continue.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, roger. Okay. So let's start to reduce our speed slowly, a little bit less power. And we are below the approach flap limit speed. Reaching the glide slope, so flaps approach, gear down, temperature control off. So all that's missing is the localizer. Here it comes. Localizer capture, glide slope capture. Perfect. Missed approach altitude 4000 set. Going to maintain our speed somewhere nice, like here. Okay, approach checklist. Seats and seatbelts secured. Cabin altitude and differential checked. Fuel selectors on. Fuel imbalance 25 gallons maximum. Recognition light on. Pitot heat on. Windshield heat off. Propeller heat off. And cabin temperature and mode off. Ignition auto. Ice deflectors, no, not required. Flaps approach. Approach checklist complete. So, nicely established on the final. What else can we ask for? Put the weather radar into above already so that a possible go-around is covered. But, well, we can just look outside the window as well. And we can see that there is no weather out there. Not here and not there. Couple of towering cumuluses, but who cares? Okay then, let's start reducing our speed down to final approach.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, wind 330 at 8, runway 05 right, cleared to land.
Runway 05 right, clear to land. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Okay. So, lights are all on, landing clearance is received, speed is coming down, landing flaps. And the landing flaps are out. Landing checklist. Cabin differential 0, wing pumps on, propellers 2190. Man, see how much thrust I had to add in order to keep those, in order to keep that speed right where it was. That's a lot of drag there. Okay, propellers 2190, oil doors open, flaps, landing gear down locked, landing lights on, and standing by for autopilot disconnect. And that's the landing checklist complete. Okay, so autopilot disconnect. Just press it once so that the flight director keeps active, tracking the ILS. And that is looking superb. So, gears down, flaps are down, perfect. That's all we need. Deviating slightly below the ILS, correcting for that. A little bit bumpy over here. Okay, back on the glide slope. Okay then, power coming back. Idle power is set.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, exit right at Lima 4.
Exit right at Lima 4, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. Okay, so we gotta keep going straight ahead for a little bit, and then take the first exit on the right hand side. Here comes the exit. Break it down, nice. Okay, welcome to Düsseldorf.
Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, contact ground 121.9er.
121.9er, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. So, before we call him, let's quickly read the after landing checklist. So, ignition, off, oil doors, closed, ice deflectors, off, flaps, up, cabin altitude and differential is verified at 0, cabin press mode, dump, weather radar, standby, lights, as required. Okay, ice protection is all off, cabin temperature in mode, we're gonna put it back to auto, and, well, actually I tell you what, we don't need this over here. So the after landing checklist is complete. Düsseldorf ground, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha, request taxi to the ramp.
Delta India Lima, Delta Alpha. Welcome to Düsseldorf Airport. Stay parking or advise if need assignment.
We'll take any ramp, please. Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Let's see what it
Delta India
automatically
Lima Delta
generates.
Alpha, ramp 29er, Victor taxi via Lima 4 Tango.
Ramp 29 Victor via Lima 4 Tango, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Negative,
Okay.
taxi via Lima 4 Tango.
Lima 4 Tango, Delta India Lima Delta Alpha. It sometimes has a little problem
Negative, taxi
understanding me.
via Lima 4 Tango.
Yeah, that's what I said, my friend. Okay, we'll do that automatically.
Ramp 29 Victor taxi via Lima 4. Tango Delta India Lima Delta Alpha.
Okay, then we just do it that way. Okay, great. So, Lima 4 Tango and then Victor 29 is on the right-hand side. So, park and rec can come off. And by the way, flight rector can come off as well. That looks a little annoying. Okay, so straight ahead over here, then on the right-hand side, and Victor 29. Now, that is not the general aviation parking, but, well, depending on how JustZim has internally defined all the taxiways and everything here, I wouldn't be surprised to blame this one completely onto JustZim, to be honest. Okay, so off to the right hand side then. By the way, transponder can go into mode alpha as well. Okay then, Victor 29 will be the last on the right-hand side. Also keeping an eye on the markings down here. Should be close to that pole in the front up there. That one. So that was Victor 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and then this one is 29. That was lovely braking. But anyway, we made it. That's all that counts. Okay, taxi layout can come on. Park and brake is set. Then let's do the shutdown checklist, please. So park and brake set, avionics switch off, electrical switches. Let's see. They are off. Okay, generators off, power levers idle. And then propellers, feather. So it's shutting down, condition levers, cut off, wing pumps off when NG is below 10%, so we gotta wait for it to run down. Props are coming to a standstill already. Looking excellent. Okay, NG is approaching 10%. Here we go, NG below 10. Wing pumps coming off, battery master off, battery selector. Number 1, park and brake can be released, and we'll put the chocks in place as well. So chocks in place. Oh, the co-pilot can already get outside, please. And then the control locks can come in place over here as well. Perfect. Okay, so open up over there, open up over here, and with that, welcome to Düsseldorf. We made it. And that's it. So, I do have to say, that was a pretty good flight. Few things, again, where BeyondATC didn't understand me entirely, but overall, a really good impression, and certainly a fun little flight for us to do over here. So the more I'm using BeyondATC, the more I get to like it. There are a few things that I would like to see change, like for example in Europe, you do get radar vectors by default, and it seems to have a bit of a problem understanding the difference between the word to, as in descent to a flight level, and the number 2 as in flight level 220. So that seems to be something that they need to figure out with an update, but I am positive that they're going to get that stuff sorted since it's just in early access at the moment I'm recording this. Now, with that, all I can say is both the Turbine Duke as well as BeyondATC are shaping up pretty nicely, and of course BeyondATC isn't perfect yet, but it is on a pretty good way, I'd say. And the Turbine Duke is just a wonderful airplane to fly, isn't it? So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to let me know if you liked it. Be sure to let me know what you did not like, and be sure to leave a like in YouTube if you did like the video, as it does really help out the channel. Finally, if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.